promenade.
Car number 1 here, the Audi 4 Quattro, setting the Rothmans Manx 1984 underway.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go!
As Mikola sets off on the first special stage high up the mountain, the low cloud and fog severely restrict visibility. Behind Mikola is Jimmy McRae in his Opel Manta 400, followed by Per Eklund in the Group A Toyota Corolla. Eklund, known to excel in these conditions, is chasing the manufacturer's title for Toyota. Henry Toivonen's back injury means he is replaced in the Rothmans Porsche team by the young Finn Juha Kankkunen. 3 times winner of the Manx, Tony Pond this year is driving a Group A Rover Vitesse. He knows the island well, but in these conditions, it's the co-driver who becomes the eyes inside the car. Pond can see little ahead of him, so he relies on co-driver Rob Arthur to read the pace notes that they've made together in days of practicing before the event. In these conditions, the pace notes are the only way to a fast time. Driver and co-driver must have absolute faith in each other's ability.
Tightens to kink to absolute right, twisty 70, long flat right, to long absolute left continues over 200.
When the visibility improves, Pond's natural skill is clear for all the many spectators to see. The Rover Vitesse is a big, big car, and the Isle of Man roads are narrow and twisty.
Flat right over cross tightens, hairpin left.
Pond is driving brilliantly and working hard, so hard that at times the oil in the Rover's power steering pump actually begins to boil.
Fast K left tightens to fast K right tightens. Twisty 70. Flat left tightens to slight left. Continues.
But right from the start, it's Russell Brooks in his Opel Manta 400 who is really flying. Eklund, in the same class as the big Rover, has electrical problems in the Toyota Corolla GT, and it's down on power. Kankkunen's rally is soon to be over. Before he's actually been able to exploit the enormous power of the Rothmans Porsche, a sudden drop in oil pressure leads to an expensive engine failure on only the 4th special stage. And there's high drama, too, for championship leader Mikola. The incessant bumps on the Manx roads have led to the Audi Quattro being stuck in 4th gear, making it impossible to drive up the mountain.
So, that was the end of month 84, I'm afraid.
Very short one for you.
Short one, yes. 3 stages only.
Also suffering from the bumps, physically, is Chris Lord in the VW Golf. It leads to a back injury for the Yorkshireman, while Lancashire man Cyril Bolton is having the drive of his life in an unbelievable 3rd place. Bertie Fisher's problems are not with the driver, but with his car. The Opel Manta 400 is severely restricted by brake problems. Ian Tilke is taking full advantage of the early retirements and pushes his Silkeline Escort hard, establishing himself with the front runners. Local driver Tony Higgins should know where he's going. His wife Christina is co-driving. With Mikola out, it's obvious we're going to have a British Open champion. But will it be Russell Brooks or Jimmy McRae in the AC Delco car? For either driver, outright victory is far from certain by the way Pond is handling the Rover. But Bertie Fisher is finding the brakeless Opel a handful. In Group A, Michael Sundstrom's Opel Ascona is setting a fast pace, while Chris Lord is set to retire, and at the end of the first day, a puncture has cost Russell Brooks over 3 minutes. So it's Jimmy McRae who leads, but he too has had his moments.
Had to come to a complete standstill because of sheep.
Yeah, in the first stage this morning, there was about a dozen sheep coming over the hill towards us. So to actually stop, let them spread, then we went on. Hanny was the same. Hanny got them as well.
Is that an unusual hazard on the Isle of Man, Jimmy?
It's, I've never had it before, no. I think somebody must have chased them there. I think Russell Brooks.
McRae starts the second day with a 2.5-minute lead over Brooks. Russell is determined to close the gap and is driving absolutely flat out. Chasing them both is a hard-charging Tony Pond. While catching Pond is Bertie Fisher in his Shell Gold car. The weather still hasn't improved. The roads are wet and very slippery. Ian Tilk presses on in the Escort. He's in 9th place. For Toyota, the new day looks brighter. The Audi Quattro's retirement means the manufacturer's crown is safe, but Eklund wants to be back in the top 10. Yesterday's problems have pushed him well down the field. As Brooks and McRae battle for the lead, the high retirement rate sees new names running at the top of the field. Theo Bengry in his Opel Ascona, hot rod racer Davy Evans in the Nissan 240 RS, and Mark Lovell is showing well in the Group A VW Golf GTI. But McRae's lead is cut when he too has a puncture and loses nearly a minute. Now the race is really on. Brooks sees his opportunity and presses the Scotsman even harder, setting fastest times over the next 2 stages, slicing more time away from McRae, but it's not to be. On stage 31, Russell's Manta hits a bridge parapet and he's out of the rally. A sad end to his hopes of being British champion. Brooks' demise pushes Pond up to 2nd place. But Bertie Fisher is now going much quicker. His brakes at last seem to have been sorted out, and he overtakes Pond, but is still a long way behind McRae. The 1984 Rothmans Manx Rally now has a settled look to it, with McRae first and the others left to fight amongst themselves for the minor placings. Fisher is in a comfortable 2nd place as dusk falls at the end of the 2nd day. As Jimmy McRae sets out on the final morning, again there's fog. The Scotsman's lead is impressive, but he cannot afford to relax or let up the incessant pace over the narrow roads. If he does, it could lead to a lapse in concentration, and McRae would hand victory to a hard-charging Bertie Fisher. Pond too is ready to capitalize on any mistakes made by the 2 Opel drivers.
And fast right.
Davy Evans is a good 6th, another impressive performance. Per Eklund has moved up to 7th place, a remarkable drive by the hard-working Swede and the neatly turned-out Toyota Corolla GT. John Price has kept his Renault 5 Turbo pointing in the correct direction, despite the car being difficult to handle in the wet conditions. Then, last-minute drama. Almost at the end of the rally, Tony Pond's excellent 3rd place suddenly looks in jeopardy as the Rover Vitesse struggles into the St. John's service area in obvious trouble.
The torque tube's broken. That's something that supports the rear axle. The car doesn't like that stage up there. It's the 2nd time we stopped in there.
You actually stopped, did you?
Well, we crawled out.
The mechanics crawl in under the rear of the Rover to try and repair the damage, but there's precious little service time available.
A bit, but I think it'll be all right.
Luckily, it kept going.
How much time has it cost you?
About a minute. Not much. As long as they can fix it, that's the problem.
Do you think they will be able to?
It depends how much damage it's done while it's run for the 7 or 8 miles, all flying around under it.
But the Austin Rover team work wonders and complete the repairs just in time. Pond responds to this and sets 5 fastest times in the final 6 stages to retain his 3rd place.
100.
McRae is on his way to a famous victory. Bertie Fisher is 2nd. Sunshine towards the end of the event pleases all the drivers. For Per Eklund, his 7th place means he wins the Group A driver's title. So McRae cruises to a well-earned 1st place by a massive 11-minute margin over Bertie Fisher. No longer with brake problems, the Irish Opel driver finishes the Manx Rally in his familiar style. Third place for Pond emphasizes the potential of the Rover Vitesse as a rally car. It has totally dominated the Group A class, much to the pleasure of Tony's many fans on the island. Local man Ian Corkill finishes in 4th place, and this despite one huge moment when his car left the road and leapt the hedge at over 100 miles an hour. 5th is Theo Bengry in his Opel Ascona. And 6th, the Nissan 240 RS of Davy Evans. A good year for Toyota GB ends with their second successive manufacturer's title, thanks to Per Eklund and co-driver David Wittick, who's on his honeymoon. I suppose that's one way to spend it. As the AC Delco Opel Manta 400 drives up the finish ramp on Douglas Seafront, this brilliant win confirms Jimmy McRae as 1984 British Open Rally champion. It's his second win in 3 years and his third championship title. No wonder he and co-driver Mike Nicholson looked so delighted.
Drysdale for his